Chaotic scenes outside the Supreme Court where Surata Roy made his appearance after more than 19 months since that case came before the Apex Court. And as he was being led inside, ink thrown by an unidentified man at the Sahara Group chief. You can see that ink on his hands, you can see it on his face as well. He will now be waiting before the court summons him at 2 p.m. for that. Absolutely chaotic scenes outside the Supreme Court where we're now expecting Surata Roy to be produced before the judges in that contempt case. Remember, Sahara Group has been accused of not refunding investors to the tune of at least 20,000 crore rupees. Surata Roy was asked to come before the court at least twice before this. He failed to show up, which is why a non-bailable arrest warrant was issued against him. He was arrested in Lucknow on Friday and brought before the court this afternoon. But the drama that you can see, all because of the actions of one man, still unidentified, who threw ink at Surata Roy while he was making his way from that vehicle to the Supreme Court doorway. And you can see that ink on his face there.
चोर है, गरीबों का चोर है। आपका नाम क्या है? गरीबों का चोर है। आपने शराब फेंकी, वो गरीबों का चोर है। आपका नाम क्या है? वो गरीबों का चोर है। ये चोर है, चोर। मैं एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा। चोर है। एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा हूँ, मैं ग्वालियर से आया हूँ। अरे एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा हूँ। आपके चोर है, चोर है, साले को बेटा ना उधर चोर है यार। चोर है, बादल से चोर है। चोर है, चोर है, चोर है।
All right, so Manoj Sharma from Gwalior is how the man has identified himself to reporters. He said he came to the Supreme Court today because he heard Surata Roy would be coming. He called him a thief. He said he's stolen money from the poor, and that is why he attacked him with black ink as a sign of disrespect. Jaskirat Singh Bawa is with us for more on this. Jaskirat, as soon as that man who calls himself Manoj Sharma called Surata Roy a thief, Surata Roy's supporters began beating him up.
That's correct, and we were expecting Sahara and Surata Roy. Many of them even trying to get their passes or entry passes made to be present in the courtroom, but of course there's a restriction, thankfully, as to the number of people who can actually enter the court. There has been a sustained effort and support that has been shown, at least for Surata Roy and Sahara, over here at the Supreme Court during repeated hearings. What happened immediately after this incident is that security has now taken Surata Roy inside the court premises, and through some of the lesser visible and lesser prominent passages, he has been now taken inside the Supreme Court. He will now be kept there until and unless it's time for 2 p.m. when the bench is supposed to sit for the Sahara and Sebi matter.
Just any word on why people were allowed to get so close to this man? And understandably, there would be some security concerns about him, given how many investors claim he's defrauded them.
Well, that's correct, and considering the fact that at least the police authorities of 2 states were intimated about bringing him in, security concerns and security was supposed to be taken. In fact, since early morning, the SHO in charge of this entire area had, in fact, tried to tighten up the security and had, in fact, placed extra police personnel around the Supreme Court premises. Going so far as to even restrain or constrain the limitation of how far the cameras of the media personnel could go to. Despite this, this has been allowed to happen, so it clearly is a security lapse, because it could have been anything other than ink or a piece of cloth.
Absolutely. And Jaskirat, any word on where this man, Manoj Sharma, has been taken to right now? We saw him being escorted away by police.
That's correct. This entire area comes under the jurisdiction of the Tilakmarg police station, which is where he's most likely to be taken. Any further proceedings in that against him, we'll have to wait and watch as the day progresses, whether the police hold on to him for assault or whether they let him go. But of course, if they let him go, there are, of course, the Sahara supporters that they will need to protect him from.
What more are you hearing from Surata's lawyers? Have they spoken since this incident?
No, Surata's lawyers have not spoken anything at all. They are tight-lipped, and some of them are now waiting outside the courtroom, waiting for the case to come up for hearing. Where Surata has been kept right now within the Supreme Court premises itself has been kept under tight wraps, so that no other further incidents or untoward incident takes place over here, it is in all likelihood he will only be produced and brought forward at 2 p.m. at the bench that is hearing the matter.
All right, just get on the legal side of this case now, away from the drama, what exactly is the court going to be examining at 2 p.m. this afternoon?
First of all, we are expecting an apology coming from Surata Roy. He's already made it clear in a public statement and outside of the court that he is willing to unconditionally apologize to the Supreme Court for what they see as a repeated act of defiance and non-compliance of their orders by Surata Roy. Now, given that fact, it is likely that Supreme Court may go soft on him after the unconditional apology is offered, or they may not if they are really angry and they still continue to maintain the anger. What we've seen in the past few months is Surata Roy and Sahara's lawyers have not been able to convince the Supreme Court or SEBI about the source of the funds which they are using to refund the money. And because in the absence of that proper verification about the exact source of funds, repeated questions by the Supreme Court that went unanswered. Finally, the Supreme Court had to summon the board of directors of Sahara Group as well as Surata Roy. When Surata Roy twice tried to get an exemption from personal appearance, it was the second time that the Supreme Court was very upset.
Jaskirat, if you can still hear me, is the Supreme Court also likely to take notice of the events of Friday afternoon? That's when Surata Roy was supposed to appear before the Chief Judicial Magistrate in Lucknow at 3 p.m. He ended up reaching that courtroom only at 5:30.
What could possibly happen is it is likely that some of the lawyers and some people of the legal fraternity have already tried to bring forward to the attention of the Supreme Court the VIP treatment and the other forms of defiance by the Sahara Group in the forms of advertisement in national dailies, which they feel is actually in contempt of the Supreme Court. Now, it is a wait and watch whether the bench also takes cognizance of the fact that even despite being taken into custody, Surata Roy was being kept in the guest house. The manner in which he was escorted over here to Delhi. It remains to be seen whether the Supreme Court will be satisfied with the police's response on that, if at all they try and bring that up. So also about the fact of this corruption, it is likely that the Supreme Court may only be concerned about the fact that he has been produced over here today as per their orders. We have to wait and watch whether somebody brings it to the attention about the nature of the while in custody of the Lucknow police.
Jaskirat, stay with us for just a second. We want to listen in once again to what Manoj Sharma said just after he attacked Surata Roy with black ink. From a man called Manoj Sharma on your screens on the right says he's from Gwalior, throwing black ink at Surata Roy, the chief of the Sahara Group, as he was being brought into the Supreme Court by policemen. He says that he threw black ink at Surata Roy because he's, in his words, a thief, and in his words, someone who's stolen from the poor. And that is why he attacked him with black ink. Shortly after that statement from Manoj Sharma to the press, he was taken aside by supporters of Surata Roy and beaten up before the police could get to him and escort him to the nearby police station. As our correspondent Jaskirat Simbawa was noting over there, that happens to be the Tilak Marg police station in Delhi, under which the Supreme Court, the jurisdiction under which the Supreme Court falls. We're going to wait to hear more from Surata Roy and his lawyers. Remember, he appears before the judges at 2 p.m. this afternoon in a contempt case. He is expected to tender an unconditional apology for failing to turn up in court so far, and it remains to the judges to decide what to do with him after that.
ये बताओ भैया आपने काली फेंकी क्या नाम है आपका कौन है क्यों? मेरा नाम आजाद हिंदुस्तानी है। आजाद हिंदुस्तानी
क्यों किया आपने ऐसा? ये
वो चोर है, जनता का चोर है।
आपका कुछ क्या इसमें नुकसान हुआ है?
वो गरीबों का चोर है।
क्यों? आप कहाँ से?
गरीबों का चोर है।
आप कहाँ से रहने वाले हैं?
ग्वालियर से हूँ।
ग्वालियर से। यहाँ क्या करने आए?
Pandemonium outside the Supreme Court, where Subrata Roy was brought in with escorted into by a police cavalcade, and you can see just seconds before he walked in, his face blackened with ink. There was ink on his arm as well. That ink coming from a man called Manoj Sharma, who says he's from Gwalior and attacked Subrata Roy because, in his words, he's a thief who stole money from the poor. Shortly after that attack, Subrata Roy was taken towards the registrar's room, where he will now be waiting until 2 p.m, where he's expected to be brought before the judges. He was escorted through lesser used, as our correspondent was pointing out, lesser used passageways, so that further security incidents could be avoided. Ashish Maharshi has been tracking Subrata Roy since he arrived in Delhi and stayed at that guest house in Kalindi Kunj. Ashish, what more do we know about this attack on Mr. Roy?
Well, very shocking incident. In fact, Sahar Chief would have also not anticipated that such an incident could have happened. But a very shocking incident. This person who hails from Gwalior, he had come down to the Supreme Court, anticipating that he will come to Sahar Chief will come to Supreme Court, as he has to be there right in front of the judges. But just before he went inside, this person, he threw ink on the face of Sahar Chief. But immediately after that, people who were with him, people who were employees of Sahara, they pounced on this man, and he was beaten very badly, and his clothes were also torn. So certainly a shocking incident. We have seen such incidents even in the past in other court premises as well. But at least for Sahar Chief, no one anticipated such an incident had happened. This person, who's apparently named as Manoj, he has been shouting that Sahar Chief is a chore, he's a thief. But how he's a thief, what grudge he has against Sahar Chief, it is still not clear. Was his money stolen by Sahar Chief? Was his money, did he invest into any Sahara Group company and that money was not paid back? All these questions still remain unanswered. Yeah.
Ashish, we're also hearing that the police were supposed to create a cordon between Subrata Roy and the waiting press, and indeed the general public that gathers at the courts every day. Somehow that cordon failing.
Certainly, it looks like a security lapse, because we know that it's a sensitive case. Sahar Chief is himself, there is a security threat for him. But at the end of the day, nobody anticipates fear. One has to realize that nobody would anticipate that somebody, like Sahar Chief would face such an incident where ink is thrown on his face. But certainly it's a security lapse, because there is a huge, he had many policemen with him, people from Delhi police as well as UP police were with him, both personnel guarding him, and it is the duty of the police to bring him safe inside the court. But nobody anticipated that such an incident would happen, and obviously it's a big shocking incident and a setback for Sahar Chief as well.
Has there been any statement from the police so far, Ashish?
No, not really. They're just trying to find out on what his motive was. Why did he bring him? Why did he bring ink with him? Did he invest any money into a Sahara company? Was his money not returned by any Sahara Group company? All these questions still remain unanswered. And we'll just speak to some police people and find out on what is the real reason behind it.
All right, Ashish, we're going to wait to hear from you once the policemen come back with a statement. But as Ashish was mentioning over there, the man, Manoj Sharma from Gwalior, as he identified himself, now with the police in police custody, where he's being questioned about why he attacked Subrata Roy with black ink. Remember, there's who claim Subrata Roy had defrauded them and taken their money without repaying them. That is precisely why the Supreme Court has brought him before its benches. He's expected to be presented before the judge in about 40 minutes from now at 2 p.m. In a contempt case. Remember, SEBI, which is the Security and Exchanges Board of India, had ordered the Sahara Group to repay thousands of crores of rupees to investors, which it said had not been refunded to them legally. Subrata Roy has challenged that verdict, saying that he has in fact repaid all the investors, and that doing so once again would amount to a double penalty on his companies. High drama in the Supreme Court as Subrata Roy was brought in. The man on your right, Manoj Sharma, stripped of his garments after his attack on Subrata Roy. He threw black ink on him, and then as soon as he made that statement to the press where he said Subrata Roy was a thief, he was taken aside by his supporters and then beaten up and further stripped of whatever was remaining on his body. The police then taking him away to the nearby Tilak Marg police station, where he is being questioned. Subrata Roy himself will now be waiting before he is brought before a judge at 2 p.m.
मैं वकील हूँ चोर है गरीबों का चोर है आपका नाम क्या है गरीबों का चोर है आपने शराब फेंकी वो गरीबों का चोर है आपका नाम क्या है वो गरीबों का चोर है मैं एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा हूँ मैं ग्वालियर से आया हूँ अरे एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा हूँ
You can see Manoj Sharma over there talking to the press, saying he is a lawyer from Gwalior. He called Subrata Roy a thief and said he had stolen money from the poor. And as soon as he made those statements, Subrata Roy supporters pushing him aside and then beating him up. Manoj Sharma, we still do not know the motive for this attack, other than the fact that he believes Subrata Roy is a thief. As our correspondent Ashish Mershi was pointing out, we do not know whether Manoj Sharma himself is an investor in the Sahara Group who may have lost money. Those details are now being ascertained by the police, who are questioning him at the nearby Tilak Marg police station.
गरीबों का चोर है आपने शराब फेंकी वो गरीबों का चोर है आपका नाम क्या है वो गरीबों का चोर है मैं एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा हूँ मैं ग्वालियर से आया हूँ अरे आपका नाम क्या है
Ashish Mershi is still with us from outside the court premises. Ashish, Manoj Sharma claiming that he's a lawyer from Gwalior, that Subrata Roy has stolen money from the poor. Some extraordinary scenes outside the Apex Court where you really don't expect something like this to happen.
Very true. Here it's a shocking incident. Nobody could have anticipated. But at the same time, one has to realize these incidents can also be, take away media here. They just want, there can be people who just want to be highlighted and take this opportunity. But nobody anticipated such an incident happen. It's a security lapse. It cannot be denied that this is not a security lapse, because it is the duty of the police, of the police as well as Delhi police, to bring him at the Supreme Court, safe. This incident is where, ink has been thrown, but he could have been attacked other ways as well. This is a big security lapse. So certainly, this man was beaten black and blue by the staff and the supporters of Sahar Chief inside the court premises. But he at first attacked Sahar Chief with the black ink. It was thrown on his face and his clothes. And obviously, Sahar Chief had also not anticipated. So obviously, he also had, his face had shown some shock value on his face. There was little shock on his face as well. So certainly, a big incident, a shocking incident right in the premises of Supreme Court. But nobody anticipated, and a big security lapse.
Ashish, for viewers who may be just joining in, where is Subrata Roy at the moment?
Subrata Roy is in the court premises. At 2 o'clock, he has to be there right in front of the judge. The panel, the panel which is looking after the investigation bench which is looking after the investigation of the Sahara matter, which has been filed by SEBI against Sahara. He's there, right there in the Supreme Court. He has to be presented before the judge at court. So he's still in the court premises, and it's very, very important to see, because this is a contempt of court case which is being heard, and under contempt of court, one can even be sent to jail. So let us see how lenient or strict view that the Supreme Court takes. It's not very far off. It is hardly any time left. It is around 40-odd minutes, 35-40 minutes that are left. And once the bench sits down and hears Subrata Roy's side of the story, let us see if they are able to accept the argument and the conditions under which he did not come to the Supreme Court. This has to be seen whether the Supreme Court buys his argument or not, because earlier they did not buy the argument and non-bailable warrants were issued. But this incident is actually a major setback for Sahara and a big shock as well, because nobody anticipated that such an incident will happen with Subrata Roy Sahara.
Ashish Maharishi, many thanks for those updates. We're going to continue tracking this story. Remember, Subrata Roy expected to be produced in the court in about 20-25 minutes from now. That attack on him just as he was brought into the court premises by a man who calls himself Manoj Sharma, supposedly a lawyer from Gwalior, who claimed that Subrata Roy stole money from the poor, which is why he attacked him with black ink. There was high drama outside the Supreme Court, where Sahara Group Chief Subrata Roy was attacked with black ink ahead of being produced before a judge for a contempt hearing. The man, reportedly a resident of Gwalior, threw that ink at Subrata Roy, accusing him of looting the poor. Sahara Chief has been ordered to return a sum of 20,000 crore rupees to investors by SEBI, the Security and Exchanges Board of India, failing which the Supreme Court had to intervene. A non-bailable warrant was issued against Roy last week when he failed to show up before the court. He was picked up by the UP police on Friday and kept in custody at a forest guest house near Lucknow. The ink attack took place while Roy was being produced in the court. The attacker was overpowered by Subrata Roy's supporters and then beaten up. Here's what he said to the media shortly before he was taken away by the cops.
मैं वकील हूँ चोर है, गरीबों का चोर है। आपका नाम क्या है? गरीबों का चोर है। आपने शराब फेंकी, वो गरीबों का चोर है। आपका नाम क्या है? वो गरीबों का चोर है। चोर है, चोर। मैं एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा, एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा हूँ। मैं ग्वालियर से आया हूँ। अरे एडवोकेट मनोज शर्मा हूँ। आपके मैं वकील हूँ, मैं वकील हूँ।
High drama outside the Supreme Court just before Subrata Roy appears before a judge in that contempt case. Simi Pasha will join you in a couple of minutes to lead you through the lead-up to his appearance.